Did you know that most of the advice out there on how to improve your walking is actually outdated? A lot of this advice is focusing on improving one specific muscle group, and that is not accurate anymore. That is not the way that we achieve longevity and better walking. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can improve your walking and the most common constraints that people have when it comes to their walking and how we overcome them. I'm Dr. Clara Derry. I'm a physical therapist. I did my orthopedic residency at Mayo Clinic, and today I'm here to teach you how to be well anyway, no matter what life throws at you. And today we're going to get to what is actually impeding your walking speed ability and how we're going to fix it. Now, before we get into that content, make sure you like this video and you subscribe to the channel so you'll be the first to know when I release new videos. And if you feel like this would be helpful to somebody that you know or you care about, please share it with them because that's how our channel grows and that's how we get to help more and more and more people just like you. Walking is very interesting to me because it's something that we all do, or most of us do, in our everyday life, but it is so related to the wellness of our system. We can see that when people have a system that is unwell, their walking speed can slow down. And those difference in preferred walking speed is related to a ton of comorbidities, including all-cause mortality, which means death from any cause. There was just an updated systematic review that was done back in 2021 that showed walking speed continuously and consistently was related to all-cause mortality. So if you are watching this video, you've probably had a change in your walking and you're trying to figure out what is going on and how do you make it better. Well, that is excellent that you're looking into it. So your walking speed is kind of like a report card for how your entire system is doing. There's a lot of different reasons that your walking speed can be changed. And honestly, that's what bothers me the most about most of the generic advice out there. People will tell you, oh, if you're trying to improve your walking, just do this exercise to work on this one muscle of your lower leg, and that's going to fix your walking. Or work on stronger butt muscles, and that's going to help your walking. And while those things can be a part of the puzzle, what's concerning to me is that is just treating a weakness of one specific muscle that you may have or may not have, but it's doing nothing to help educate you about how your system might be unwell and it shows up in your gait speed. So for example, what I'm talking about here, there was a study done in 2023 that looked at cognitive decline with gait speed changes, and they were basically trying to figure out, did cognitive decline come in first or did these gait speed changes come in first, to see if one could be predictive of the other and lead to an earlier intervention. But what they found was there is a bidirectional association. Cognitive changes could come first and gait speed changes could come later, or it could be vice versa. Another study in 2023 was looking at the changes in physical activity for people with osteoarthritis, which, this is a sidebar, every single person on this planet Earth after the age of mid-20s to 30s has osteoarthritis in their bodies. Every single person. It's just like a wrinkle on the inside, we call it. It's just a part of life, but not all of those people are symptomatic. Not all of those people are inflamed or in pain. So that gets really interesting, but I'll put a pause on that for now and we will come back to that in a different video. But this study in 2023 was looking at these physical activity changes in people with osteoarthritis. And two of the biggest associations that they found was a fear of movement and a change in that person's gait speed. So those two factors were more likely to cause a decrease in physical activity with those people with osteoarthritis. So we can't say that a change in gait speed and a fear of movement causes the physical activity changes with osteoarthritis, but we can say that there's a relationship there. And from what I've seen in the clinic, it makes sense that if somebody has kinesiophobia or a fear of movement, that they are slower with walking. They are a little bit more hesitant with each step that they take. And maybe that's because they've fallen before. Maybe that's because they're afraid if they step wrong, they're going to cause that sharp pain in their knee or that pulling in their ankle or whatever it is for that person's system. It makes sense to me that kinesiophobia can be associated with a slower gait speed, with more careful walking. And if we back this timeline up even further and we look at young adults compared to middle-aged adults and the changes in their walking speed, we see that the middle-aged adults are starting to have changes in the mobility of their ankles and of their knees. So their joints' ability to move through full range of motion with bringing their toes up or dorsiflexion and pointing their toes down or plantar flexion. They're also starting to have those differences mainly in knee flexion mobility. Additionally, they showed in the middle age group that the joint moment at the ankles and at the knees, the amount of production of force of that moment was already lower in the middle aged group compared to the younger age group. So we have all of these factors that could be related to why your walking has changed. And now we add joint mobility and joint strength or joint force production to that equation as well. So you can see why this topic of how to improve your gait truly is very nuanced and is very person dependent and very system dependent, depending on what comorbidities you have going on and depending on what your body is doing at all of your different joints. So it really bothers me when we go and we try to find a solution for our ailments and we're pointed to videos that just focus on one little tiny piece of the puzzle, one muscle or one joint, because we can see gait speed and changes in your walking can be from anything from cognitive changes in our brain to ankle mobility or knee mobility or overall strength or cardiovascular conditions or the possibilities are endless. The only way to truly know for you what is making the biggest change in your walking is to get evaluated by a physical therapist so they can assess all of these different factors and truly get you on the right plan forward and truly get you on the best path forward for your body and your system. But I also understand there are a lot of people who don't come to see me in the clinic until they have like 7 things that they need fixed instead of this just one. So if you are that person who feels like you got one thing that needs to be fixed and you're going to wait for the rest of the 7 before you actually go in person to see a physical therapist, then I do have a few things that you can try at home to work on your walking abilities and to hopefully improve your gait speed. But I'm telling you, if it doesn't make you better, go and get evaluated by a physical therapist. Before we hop in here, I would love to hear what all of the advices that you have heard or maybe you've even gotten about how to improve your walking, either from family members or friends or any healthcare providers that you've been to. Drop it in the comments. I would love to see what the advice is that's being given right now. All right, so let's dive into it here. We have a few muscles that we're going to talk about to start with because I need you to understand why you're doing these exercises instead of just how to do these exercises. So when it comes to walking, there's different phases of our gait cycle. The most extreme for push-off phase is all the way in hip extension, knee extension, and in ankle plantar flexion. So it's gas pedaling down, all the way through striding forward, where we have hip flexion, again knee extension, and ankle dorsiflexion as we come through. Okay, we end with the heel strike, and we come into mid stance, loading on that straight limb again. So when we're here in our final push-off phase, our big booty muscles, our glute muscles, are responsible for giving us that hip extension moment. They extend our hips along with the hamstrings in the back of our leg. When we go to push off during gait, our plantar flexors, our calf muscles down here, work. Our calf muscles down here help to push off and bring that foot into plantar flexion to gas pedal down. As we bring that leg through, we have to use that hip flexor to hike our hip up, but we're also using our dorsiflexors at the front of our leg here to bring our toes up so we don't catch our toes mid-stance as we're swinging through. Some people may say that you should focus on just strengthening your tibialis anterior to be able to dorsiflex your toes. Or they may say you should just focus on your hip flexor to be able to lift that foot through mid-stance. But again, working on one muscle is not going to change your entire gait cycle unless you only have an issue with that one muscle in that one motion. As we've seen today from all of the research, gait speed and walking is a multifaceted movement. There's not just one exercise that works on one muscle that is going to change all of these factors of your entire system we talked about today, okay? So you can do those one exercises if you want, but just understand the scope of its effectiveness on your body is going to be limited. So jumping back in all the way to heel strike, that anterior tib muscle is really working to dorsiflex those toes to bring them up towards us. And our quadricep is starting to engage to accept that load of our body weight through mid-stance on this side. So really, to have an efficient gait cycle, that walking speed, we need to have strong glutes, a strong hip flexor, strong hamstrings, strong quadriceps, strong anterior tibs, strong calf and gastroc. And that doesn't even begin to talk about the pelvis or the core going on above the leg or any of the other systems at play. When it comes to motion, we need to have sufficient range of motion at our ankle joint to allow us to push off, but also to lift our toes up so they don't get caught. We have to be able to extend our knee fully. Flexion of the knee isn't typically as much of a problem during gait because we aren't getting into those deeper ranges of knee flexion. And then hip extension is the other big one that we typically lose as we age, but it is important to be able to extend our hips to keep those booty muscles working, or else we get that kind of flat booty appearance, and be able to flex your hips. Again, hip flexion isn't a huge deal. Our hip flexion range of motion isn't a huge deal with walking because we aren't getting into those end ranges of hip flexion. We're just doing enough to clear our toes off the ground. So the exercise that I have for you today is going to work on strengthening a lot of those big important muscles in a compound motion. I'm going to show you the way that I would start this motion if you're unbalanced or you're not comfortable with weights yet. And then I'll also show you the advanced version of how you would add some weights. While this exercise is safe for most people, if you have any concerns or if you feel unsafe at any point, please consult your physician or physical therapist for proper advice for your body on how to proceed with this motion in this challenge. Okay, so the first exercise that we have from today, I'll show you from the side. We're going to spread our feet about hip distance apart, or if you're having some stiff hips, you can even move your toes outward a bit to give those hips a little extra room in there. And I want you to come down into a squat. I keep my arms here because I'm used to the bar. You can clasp your hands or put them out front, wherever you want. So we're going to come down into that squat. And when you come up, I want you to come up and come onto your toes and squeeze your butt muscles. So you're coming down to your squat, up onto your toes. Down to your squat, up onto your toes. If you need a little bit of support when you're doing that exercise or a little bit of balance, you can grab onto a stable surface like my shelving here, or you can use the back of a chair to give you a little bit of stability as you squat down and come up onto those toes. The more advanced version here, if you'd like to add some weights to it, to prevent sarcopenia, which is to prevent that muscle wasting, we're aiming for 6 to 8 repetitions of an exercise before you feel like, whew, that's enough. My muscles definitely need a break. That is the range that the research has showed us to aim for to prevent that sarcopenia. So if you're doing these and you feel like, wow, these are super easy, then maybe this advanced version is appropriate for you. If it's appropriate for you, give it a try, see what you think. So now that we tackled the strengthening of a lot of our big muscles that we use during gait, I have a bonus exercise for you, and it is a stretch. So this is the slant board that we use in the clinic. My husband and I are both physical therapists, so of course we have one at home. You don't have to have a slant board like this. You can build your own. There's plenty of free plans online, but we choose to go with this version from Amazon. I'll show you how to use it here. So I usually put it up on the lowest setting to start, and this flap just slips down here and holds it. Set it on the ground. Have something stable to hold on to for your balance. And then you just step up with both feet. A lot of patients want to kind of lean forward and stick their booty out here to feel that pull all the way down their legs, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for you to step up here and stand really tall. Tuck that booty under you so you're in a somewhat straight line, and you can lean forward almost like you're skiing, putting that weight more onto your toes while you still keep those heels down. And you should feel that stretch all the way down the back of your calves you'll be able to see that your ankles are moving forward here. You should be able to tell with that stretch in the back of your calves that your ankles are moving forward over your feet here. So that's working on your ankle range of motion. We're also getting our knee extension range of motion here. So if you're feeling a little stretch behind your knees too, that's probably why. You're probably a little bit tight into your full range of knee extension. While you're doing this stretch, if you're not feeling as much of that pull in the back of your calf, you're feeling more of a discomfort in the very front of your ankle, then that's telling me it's not so much of a muscular stiffness, it's more of a joint stiffness that responds really well to some targeted exercises that are different than this, or some hands-on therapy from an actual physical therapist in the clinic. And the same thing goes with your knee. If it's not so much of a stretch feeling, if it's more of like a pain feeling or a sharpness in the front of your knee, then that is a different thing. It's not so much tightness from those muscles in the back. It can be just a little bit of a sticky joint that can be worked on with some hands-on in the clinic or some separate exercises at home. There's a second variation of this exercise that I want to show you. Your calf is made up of two muscles, your big gastroc muscle, which is one that almost looks like a heart on the back of your leg, and then under that, deep to that, is your soleus muscle. Your soleus muscle does not cross your knee joint. Its sole purpose is to cross that ankle joint and to help with plantar flexion, so it too can get stiff. You're going to be in the same position here with a handhold, and now I just want you to bend your knees slightly forward, and you should feel that stretch a little bit deeper than you feel the first one, or a little bit lower down your calf, almost like right at the top of your Achilles tendon area. With both of these exercises, you can hold them for about a minute. If you're super stiff and you feel like this is targeting your muscular stiffness, you can repeat that up to 3 times, but muscles and tendons like that time under tension, so hang out here for about a minute. Nice work today. So now you have one exercise that's going to work on strengthening those walking muscles, the biggest muscles that we're using. And you also have an exercise to work on the mobility of your hips and your ankles, which can be one of the most limiting factors for middle age and beyond when it comes to changes in our walking. As I said at the beginning of the video, if you're noticing changes in your walking, it can be very multifaceted. If these exercises do not help you, please go see a physical therapist in person and get evaluated for what is working on your system that's slowing down your walking. Don't be that person that waits until you have a list of 7 things going on to go to the clinic to try to fix. Stay on top of your health, aim for longevity, train for your 70s and well beyond, and remember, no matter what life throws at you, we can be well anyway. I'm Dr. Claire Derry. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below, share it with somebody who you think that it could really help, and I look forward to seeing you next time.